And then Jared found out it was my birthday, so I had 2 martinis.
Who's Jared?
He owns Homestead. Jared Bullen.
Yeah, I met that guy.
Who's F6 do?
So then I had 2 martinis at dinner, and then I'm trying to find this page rolls, and then we had a glass of wine. Then my dad and I had an espresso and a Weller after dinner.
Nice.
And then Jared found out it was my birthday, and he brought over, like, Siri's talking to me, and then yeah, so he found out it was my birthday. So then he brought over a bottle of champagne, and then he brought tequila, and then he brought whiskey.
Oh my god!
And then I don't remember anything.
Did he forget the strippers and hookers?
We were at his place of business.
Right.
Yeah. Tony, did you like your pre-birthday where I shouted you out for your birthday?
Yeah, 3 days early.
3 days early. I was just getting out.
I was gonna let you go with that for a little bit.
I was just getting out ahead of everybody else. I had to be first in line.
It tripped me out. I was like, I swore his birthday was on Sunday.
Sure.
And then you should be an admin on the page now. I don't know why you weren't before.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to give him privileges.
No.
I know what it is.
Why all it does is pop up with, do you want to promote your thing?
Brandon did
we're live right now.
Oh,
I gotta share this.
This is just a little pre-show show right here. We're not ready. We're not launched yet. For those of you already listening, we're not really going yet. We're just a little pre-show show.
Let me do the share thing. Share.
All right, yeah, hit it out there. We still got 5 minutes. I just want to tell you guys, I had intended to make another little bumper video for tonight with that clip that we talked about from Jurassic Park, where the guy walks over and he's like, "That's one big pile of shit." But I did not get to that because my family became cricket farmers today.
At least you're not rat killers like somebody in this conversation.
Yeah, fucking rat killers. So my daughter got a bearded dragon as a pet. And
she got it.
She got the bearded dragon, but you don't just raise a bearded dragon. You have to raise this fucking thing's whole ecosystem. So, like, we have now 1,000 crickets arrived in the mail today. 1,000. Have you ever seen 1,000 crickets?
Sure.
I think so, because I used to have lizards, and I think I would buy them in, quantities, large quantities.
Yeah, it's crazy. But my daughters and my wife, they treat these crickets like it's a box of bees. So they are fucking terrified of the crickets, and then they're like, "Open the box, put them in there." So I had to deal with all that. And then I was like dumping them out. I'm like, guys, they're crickets. They're not going. So that was what I was dealing with. And then I was like, "Honey, what time is it?" She's like, 7:25. I was like, "Dang it!" I was like, "I had a whole plan. I had a whole thing I wanted to fucking do." So I didn't get to do any of those things this week. But
hold on,
you want to see something amazing?
Yes.
So awesome. Eloise drew me a picture this week, and I don't know. Tell me if you can. So the guy is saying, "Whoa," but he just shit.
That's an amazing,
fucking amazing.
For
He's
people
in
listening. Oh my god.
Yeah.
For people listening on the podcast, the audio only, you're really missing out on the treat that was that video. This picture right now.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I just like that he's saying, "Whoa." Like he dropped a deuce, his arms are raised, and he's like, "Whoa."
He's like in victory stance. Like, check this out.
Like, yeah, like I poo-pooed. Look at me.
He did it in the wild, though. He did.
I know. Well, I like how the Christmas tree. I mean, the tree has like a what do you call it? Like a tree topper.
Oh yeah, it's festive.
A star.
Yeah. Wow.
What day of Christmas?
Hey Saunders, did you send my order? I need that shit.
Saunders.
Jared Saunders, McAuliffe Cigar.
Oh,
calling him out.
Yeah, calling him out right now. Yep.
Yeah, we see you. You can't hide from us. We see you out there. We're 2 minutes. I kind of like I think I pressed live too soon. We got a little bit of time. Maybe we should kick off the show. Should we start the show?
Yeah, I mean, we have our highest viewership of 6 people
This
so
is
far.
the
so, I mean,
the live viewership is at it hit 10 for a second, and people were like, "Oh, we're getting the fuck out of here." All right, well, Joe Sharmer in the chat. We like to fucking
Shocker.
see.
My
Dude,
man.
He's our number one fan.
thank
He's
you.
also almost on fire. All those Colorado fires are up right by his house.
That's true. Oh,
That's how you
Jared.
get shit done like that. You get shit done that way.
Yeah.
Always on the clock.
Oh, last thing before we go live, I just wanted to say that it was really cool this past week to get. You guys got to bring it up on the main show that we got that email from the guy in fucking Romania.
I was gonna read the key points about, and we'll let that go because it's Jeremy's funny thing.
All right.
Funny thing.
Yeah, no, do it after, like in the intro after we hit play our opening. All right.
Are our fellas, are our guests here?
Yeah, our guests
All right, cool.
are in the waiting room. So Zach, we'll see you in a little bit. Peace out. And we're gonna fuck it, let's do it live, guys.
1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots, 1 shot, 2 shots, 1 shot.
Hello and welcome to 4 Shots with Tony and Jeremy.
Hello.
And sometimes Brandon and sometimes Zach. I was supposed to do this intro, but
sometimes meaning always at some point. Right?
Yes, that is correct. So we are kind of evolving as a show. So this time we did like a little pre-show like bullshitting thing, which I didn't even know we were on live. And we actually got quite a few viewers, so we're pretty happy about that. Just real quick, housekeeping stuff while everybody's on. You can watch the show later or live on YouTube. Also, we have a bunch of different streaming podcast things as of tomorrow. The show will upload and be available tomorrow on iTunes, Spotify. What else, Jeremy? What am I missing?
I don't know. It's like Google Music. I mean, not Google Play. I don't know. All your streaming platforms.
Whatever you
Every single one of them.
Everyone. And then TikTok, OnlyFans. But also I just wanted to. I have like a thing that I have to go down and do all these bullet points. So social media at 4 Shots Show, Instagram, Facebook. Also. I'm supposed to go over what we're going to do today and what we do every episode because we really don't do much. We kind of just talk shit and we have a really cool guest and talk about their cool shit in addition to doing 4 shots and which eventually turns into 12 and then I pass out on the show. So we'll do our fresh shit segment with our guest and I'll have Jeremy introduce him shortly. And then we're going to go through our main topic, check in with Zach, and then if anybody wants to stick around for the entire show, we will bring you on to ask our guests questions or myself, Jeremy, Brandon, or Zach. So with that, Jeremy, why don't you introduce our guys today? Yeah, we got to do a shot. I've missed that thing, that whole thing that the show's called.
Yeah. So first, before we bring them on, yes, we'll do a shot with them. But what are you drinking today?
What do you think?
I think you're going with Tito's. All right, I'm going.
I could go get my Sambuca if you want to get crazy. I still have some left.
Well, I just feel like some Sambuca today.
All right. Well, you know what happened with me when I did Sambuca. So
yeah,
Maybe your daughter will think you have COVID-19 again, because you were
Right.
throwing up red that one time.
Well, that was rum.
That was rum.
So
Everybody that wants to do a shot, you can do a shot with us. Brandon, hold on, I think he's dead. We have to do this little. I got to figure out this video thing.
Shot number 1.
There we go.
I'm having a problem with my breathing pipe and my smoke, drink, eat pipe today. I think they're opposites. It's opposite day.
It's opposite day. All right. So shall I introduce our friends? Our
You
guests?
should, because we were going to do some fresh shit with them and then go on.
Yeah. So we started a new. We're kind of going to go to a new segment episodes where occasionally we will check in and we will be interviewing retailers from around the U.S. that we feel have an impact on our industry or doing something cool or just really fucking cool people. Doesn't have to meet all the criteria. Just these guys happen to meet a lot of those, though. They're good friends of ours, and Josh and Nate runs the shop over at Smokers Abbey in Nashville, Tennessee. They have a couple other locations that have turned into kind of a franchise thing, and we'll get into that. But these are our dudes, Josh and Nate. Welcome,
boys.
Well, hello there.
How are you?
Oh, excellent.
Good. Can you hear us okay?
We got you, Nate. I think you might be a little frozen. We might have to get back to him.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at him. He's frozen.
Okay.
He is.
So we have let's do our fresh shit. We'll start with Josh and see what his fresh shit of the week was. Something, cigar, spirit, beer, wine, TV, anything that is new and cool for you this week that you got for us. Give it to us.
Well, a fresh pick for me would have to be the Lost and Found private label for Smokers Abbey. Went out to all 3 stores, Nashville, Memphis, and Austin.
Wow, there must have been somebody really special that did that for you guys.
Yeah, there was. I don't know. I forget his name, but yeah, it's really nice. It's very nice.
Very nice.
Full body, nice and. It looks kind of like a short smoke, but it's not. It takes a while to get through it.
Yeah, I think it's because it's been sitting around for a while. It really is elegant little cigar that we found for you guys. So
yeah,
where can they? So since we're on where can they get it if they want to pick it up?
At any Smokers Abbey location. So Nashville, Austin, Texas, and soon to be open, but you could probably still find them in Memphis.
Are you guys? I think maybe because you're in the same. Are you guys in the same room? Is that why we're having some feedback issues?
Are you feeding back because we're in the same room? Is it feeding back?
Well, he just disappeared again.
He did.
Yeah.
It says Nate. It's in stable.
Yeah.
Hey, there's somebody else.
No, I'm the producer. What's up, Josh? I just want to make sure we get you guys in here all together. I didn't know you guys were in the same room. We've never attempted that. Last week we had guys climbing a mountain.
That didn't work.
That did not work. But now we have like 2 people in the same room, and he's not showing up, and he still looks frozen in his stream. So we'll keep trying to work on Nate here. You guys keep going.
All right. So Lost and Found Smokers Abbey edition.
Yes, Lost and Found Smokers Abbey edition. I'd love to tell you more about it, but I don't have any information on it. That's the point, isn't it?
That's typical for a Lost and Found. Here you go.
Yeah, that's right.
You're welcome.
That's typical.
There's Nate.
How's that?
Good.
You're here. You're in. You're good.
It's Nate. Oh, that's the feedback.
Yeah.
Stupid. I'll just move.
Sounds
Sorry.
like you got some like reverb.
I'm going to move. I can walk faster than Nate.
I think he's frozen again. Poor guy.
You are frozen again.
Yeah, you're not freezing. All right, well, Tony, why don't you share your fresh shit?
My first fresh shit is I got a haircut today. It's been quite a long time since I've gotten a haircut, so that was interesting. That kind of messed with my day a little bit though, because it was at like 2:30 and I had to be here by 8, so I didn't really get to do much all day. Other than that, my fresh shit. I mean, the house thing's going good. You know, I got it inspected, and we're still working on that. So hopefully we get moving on that, and I get moved. What about you?
I didn't have a very eventful week. Not like it was a bad week. I just didn't.
Oh
really,
shit! It was my birthday. Zach just reminded me. It was my birthday on Sunday. Well, we could get back to that though.
Dude, the whole screen is frozen. All of us. Can you still hear my audio?
I can hear your audio, Josh. I can see Josh moving and myself moving, but
everybody's frozen on my end. But as long as you can hear it, I'll just keep going. But yeah, I didn't really have anything super eventful. It was just a good, like, normal week. It was productive. I did watch a movie last night, but now I'm going to totally screw it up because I can't remember the name, but it was pretty dope. I'm going to find the name while we're on, but I like movies with kind of thrillers, suspenseful movies. And this one had a weird kind of twist to it. It was like about a family that moved into this house, and they found a room within the house that gives them anything they want.
Are you guys listening to Abba at the shop?
Yeah, do you like that?
Okay. Yeah, it's nice.
I'm trying to get rid of it.
But the premise is they can't take anything out of that room. So they can ask for $1 million, then they can get it, but they can't take it outside the house or it disintegrates. So
it sounds interesting.
It turns into a horror because it gets deeper down the hole. Like, what does a person want when they can get anything they want? You know, kind of like appeals. So it was cool. I enjoyed it. I'm going to find the name of it out so I can shout it out. But that'll be my fresh shit for the...
My buddy was telling me about this movie where this, like, it's a prison or something, where this tray of food, like, you wake up in the morning and you don't know what floor you're going to be on. You could be on the top floor or the bottom floor, and there's like a big table of food that starts at the top and goes to the bottom. And as the food...
Oh, dude,
moves,
I watched this.
I heard it's like super insane. Yeah, the platform. And it's all about, like,
it is
how people don't, like, leave food for everybody else, even though you know there's people below you, and they just try to eat the whole thing. So,
Tony, I think that's a message about
capitalism. I mean, that is a very, very intense movie. Like,
stop it, Brandon.
On every level. Brandon, is there
Nate,
some reason, like, I can hear... I got my screen is completely frozen. I can't see anything frozen from anybody.
Jeremy, while Nate gives us his fresh shit, why don't you back out, come back in, and reset your video for us, okay?
I just joined on my phone. Made it easier.
Yeah, it's really working.
You're way better.
Yeah, Nate, Jeremy, you reset. Nate, why don't you give us your fresh shit for the week?
Cool. So mine probably is stoked on. I have a buddy in New Orleans who has worked for a long time to get a coffee roastery off the ground. Basically, spent all his money buying a roaster and then just taught himself how to do it and has worked his ass off to get it done. And so then he has actually now started a legit business called Exile Coffee, and he's got it in several shops in New Orleans. But I just got a bag this week from him, so super stoked to support a friend who has kind of busted their ass for a long time to be able to start their own stuff and their own business. So that got me stoked.
That's awesome. Well, let him know, because we have Youngstown Coffee Company. We've been at it for a couple of years, so if he needs any advice...
I can't hear anybody.
Oh, really? Man. Well, Josh, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
So tell Nate if he needs any advice or anything to get a hold of me, because of Youngstown Coffee. We've been doing the Youngstown Coffee Company thing for a while. So if his buddy needs anything or wants any help, or
Cool.
to never hesitate to reach out. And I'd like to try it, the coffee as well, if we can make that happen.
It's such a shame that we're having a little bit of technical difficulties tonight, because I think that this has been such a strong start, and it's been really cool already. That Jeremy is texting me. He's like, "What should I do? Just come back in. Just come back in, Jeremy. Try to so we can kind of get this going forward."
Okay, so let's keep going with the show, because we have some.
Well, you guys,
we
I
can-
think this should be another shot, because you haven't done a shot with your guests yet.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we got to do shots. Where's Nate? Okay, Nate's back.
Nate's back. Yay.
Nate, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Nate, tell him what we're drinking.
Yeah, so we got the Greenbrier Tennessee whiskey. You can actually only buy this in the state of Tennessee right now. There's a distillery here called Greenbrier. Really cool ass story. They started originally back in the day where they were the third person to have a liquor license in the state of Tennessee, even before Jack Daniels. Basically made the whiskey, went away during Prohibition, and then later the guy who owned the company, his great-great-grandsons, bought the rights and everything, and so they just put it back out. But so that's actually, they say that was the whiskey that they based Jack Daniels off of originally. So it's a fun little, like, pretty inexpensive Tennessee whiskey.
That's fun. I'll have to. I want to.
show
Next
the
time
bottle
I get
again.
down there, I'm gonna have to try it if it's not available up here.
Other way. There you go. Tennessee.
That's cool.
Tennessee sour mash.
So Nate, I don't know if you heard me when I was talking to Josh, but if your buddies need any advice or help or anything, we've had Youngstown Coffee Company for a while. I mean, just have them reach out to me or whatever. Or I'd love to try his coffee also. So if you can email me later with his website so I can order some stuff, I'd love to try it.
For sure.
But let's do a shot.
Shot number 2.
Oh, I love that video segment. That was awesome. Yeah.
He's such a sexy man. And we can talk about him now. We can talk about him now. He's not here. Oh, never mind.
There he is.
It said Google Chrome on my computer.
Wow.
Gotta
That's what
love that.
Google Chrome's been giving me some problems too. But anyway, let's get going with this.
Let's do it.
So
Are we doing a shot?
yeah, we could do another
We
one.
just
Okay.
did one, but I guess we
do
do
one.
another.
Oh, did you?
Shot number 3.
We're just getting started tonight.
Oh, I love
Welcome
these
back,
videos.
Jeremy. Welcome
These
back.
videos are beautiful.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
You know, Josh, this is like our first night we met.
Well, I don't remember that night.
Oh,
That's the point.
interesting.
Hey, do you remember that time that you thought I was somebody else, and then you ignored my text, and then you realized it was me? It made me feel good. Do you remember? Do you remember that time I told you were being a jerk because you wouldn't respond to my text, and you thought I was somebody else?
And you
That's
still
how-
sell our cigars
That's
after
how
all
close of friends we are.
Yeah.
You don't remember that
We-
story because you had a few shots before you told me that story.
I don't remember that, but that.
We were in the
You say
casino in
it's true.
Vegas when you told me the story. Actually, you were in
Oh,
you were in the bathroom. I was standing beside you in the bathroom. I was like, bro, how come you didn't text me back? It's okay.
that's right.
So what for you
Show-
guys? So while Jeremy thinks about his past decisions,
I'm
What-
done thinking.
oh, you're done thinking about it. That's good.
Yeah.
What? What? I'll go Nate first on this one. What was the cigar or the experience of a cigar or drink or whatever that got you into the business? Like, what got you into doing this?
Well, I mean, really, Josh got me into doing this, but the cigar that kind of changed my perspective on cigars and everything was, so I'd started smoking when I was 18 with my dad, but, you know, it was just smoking everything and anything I could get. And then,
Well, not everything.
well, not everything, anything I could get though. But so then when I was like 22, I lived in Portland, Oregon for a year. And I went to a shop there, 82nd Tobacco, and they were like the only guys I could find in town who had at the time what I would call boutique type stuff. And so I'd always go on my payday. I worked for Target loading trucks, and so I would take my paycheck and I'd always be like, all right, what do I need to get? And so they got me turned on to Dr. P and Blue Label. And honestly, that was the first cigar I smoked where it was like, oh my gosh, like tobacco can actually taste incredible, and just the different noticing flavor changes and all that. So yeah, the Dr. P and Blue Label was probably the cigar that like completely changed my perspective.
Josh, what about you?
Well, I was pastoring. I have pastored for years.
Which
And,
we're gonna go there next, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, so a couple of guys from the church, we were hanging out between services on a Sunday. They gave me a Alec Bradley something or another. Maybe it'd been like a Max or something like that. And so I smoked it with them to be polite. I had never really smoked cigars. And man, I was so hammered off of it. That,
Oh, so you didn't smoke anything at all, like no cigarettes?
No, I
nothing?
hadn't smoked anything. And then I felt so awesome afterwards. And I remember just preaching a freaking awesome sermon. So that became a thing, smoking Sundays with some guys from church. And then that became a whole experience where I just had lots and lots of great hangs with people smoking, and I could figure out how long I wanted to talk to them. I could pick a little petite Corona if I don't really like them that much, or I could get a 60 ring 7-incher if I wanted to hang for a long time. And that's kind of how it started for me.
Well, cool. I mean, that's
So, yeah, I was well over 30 years old before I ever smoked a cigar.
wow. And now you have a cigar store, or 10,000 of them.
Well, I technically only have one, but I have been generous with a few other ones.
He's got a brand.
Right.
So,
What?
go ahead, Jeremy. Do it. Are you frozen again? Oh no.
See you, brother.
What? Hey, dude.
Sorry, just saying goodbye, hugs. This is my my buddy T, drummer.
Later, T.
White
Later,
Collar
dude.
Sideshow. He's going back on the road.
This is my
Goodbye,
buddy.
sir.
Stump.
Poor Jeremy's frozen again.
Jeremy.
We might have to switch him to his phone, maybe, Brandon.
I don't know what's going on with Jeremy. It's very unfortunate. But Josh, I just want to speak to the little story you just told, because I grew up. My great grandpa was a pastor. My grandpa's a pastor. My dad was a pastor, and I was a pastor. Oh, Jeremy's in.
Jeremy's
I'll
back.
I'll
Jeremy's
give
back.
the story
Okay.
because Jeremy, you wanted to ask something right before you froze. What?
I don't know. I'm about to break my fucking computer. That's what's about to happen.
Do you want to switch to your phone?
No, it's not my
Okay.
connection. It
Is
is.
it too? It might be too hot, man. I mean, it's like 150 degrees in California.
Yeah,
isn't it?
you know what it is? There's too much man in this room right now. Just like all
There
this
is a lot of-
man. Like,
There's a lot.
look
of
at all
man
this.
juice.
There's
Oh, it's
the
a lot of beards and man.
That's what it is, bro.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
flesh and just, and my computer can't take it. That's what it is.
So you were going to ask something. It was very like, oh, I have this question, and then you were done. So what did you wanted to bring something up?
No, I just thought it was kind of funny that like how we have different ways, like different experiences that get us into it. And I like how Josh's was to be accommodating. That's how he got into cigars. Like, oh, this guy offered me this. I don't want to be a dickhole. Let me smoke it. And then like all of a sudden now he's, obviously fast forward. But that's kind of, I enjoy all these stories because no one's got the same, experience.
Yeah,
So-
cigars are the gateway drug to cigars.
Yeah.
Well, couldn't you say? I guess you could say that, like new the way that you guys, like, I know Brandon's history with this a lot better, but like the way that you guys approach religion, couldn't you say that the two kind of uh mirror each other? You know, like with cigar smokers and guys like that, or guys that are really into bourbon, like the idea of getting together and sharing the thoughts on those things is very similar to a religion. When you think, I mean, you guys tell me, because I'm not like I'm not a sorry, I hit my laptop. I'm not a religious guy, so to speak. So I haven't been to a lot of church things or been involved in a lot of it. So I'm kind of uh, ignorant to it. But I see a lot of parallels with cigar smoking and religion in that you have a group of guys together that are really talking about some serious things sometimes. So I don't know if you can shed some light on that, or what you think about the parallels to those two things.
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, Tony, you are religious because everyone is. We're religious creations. We're religious creatures. You may not be a church dude, which is perfectly fine to not be a church dude, but you're spiritual in nature. So in that regard, there is a connection.
I like that, by the way. That made me feel good inside.
Yeah.
No joke, it did.
Yeah. Well, we're all spiritual creatures. We all find passion and life and love in different things. When we're really aware of it, we find those things in the creation and community and relationships, in cigars and in tobacco. And so that's like, to me, it's the enhancement of being aware. Like, for example, when I have all the time, you get newbie smokers into the Abbey, and they don't know what they like. So we'll try to figure out the body. What's the body that you want to start with? But I always tell people, like, take pictures of the band, make some notes, be aware of what you don't like, and then be aware of what it is you like. And then you can triangulate after you find, 6, 7 cigars that you really like, that connect with you. Then you can triangulate. You can figure out, where was this tobacco grown? Who's making this tobacco, putting these cigars together? What are the blends? And eventually you'll figure out what your palate is like. And so from a spiritual nature, it's the same sort of thing. A lot of people just sort of walk around like robots in the world, in survival mode, trying to find life, love, purpose. And so we start to become aware of the things that make us feel alive, that give us hope, that give us life, give us passion, give us excitement. And then you can start to triangulate. And I think that we kind of find the God, the creator aspect of all of those things in there begins to reveal. God begins to reveal. So it's sort of very similar, but it starts with an awareness to, like, pay attention to what do you like and what you don't like. What gives you passion and creativity and what doesn't.
I think there's a very, I think that, when you talk about that kind of thing, there's a very big similarity in that you can't know what's really good unless you know it's really bad,
Exactly.
And I think
Sorry.
that's kind of an important ethos in the cigar community, as well as the whiskey or wine community, where you really have to, like you said, pay attention to it. I guess the next question for either one of you guys is, like, what do you think the differences are between the two communities or vocations? Like, have you run into roadblocks with guys that are like super conservative or super liberal, that don't really like appreciate cigars, or that do, or that have taken both? So, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, and so to clarify on my background too, I am not a pastor, but I've been involved with church work for years and volunteered and all that stuff. Grew up in the church. But I'll say it's very interesting living in Nashville, and I've been here 10 years. Josh has been here a lot longer. But Christian culture in general in Nashville is almost like a different thing entirely, because you experience a lot of like the secular and the spiritual meeting together. And a lot of Christians here aren't afraid to cuss and drink and whatever. So already, I mean, the amount of customers we even have who are involved in ministry at a church at some like level is enormous. And a lot of them aren't even people Josh knew before the shop too. It's not like it was Josh's pastor friends who would come by. There is some of those, but it's like a different thing. And I know Josh can attest to more of that, but it's even seeing it from just a non-pastor interaction to like talking to people who come in Nashville in general, the culture here, cigars are almost not considered to be a big issue within church.
Well, I guess
Which
it
is
depends
funny
on
because-
what church.
Right. But if you were to talk like Southern California, you know, it's extremely, extremely kind of the faux pas, you know, the drinking and the, you know, the smoking. I mean, my parents, God bless them, still won't, you know, tell me they're waiting for me to find a profession to get into, you know, that would be glorifying and edifying to the Lord. And I'm like, I don't know. Didn't he make leaves? Aren't we cool? I think he's cool with it. Like, I don't think he actually cares, but in that way. But, you know, it is interesting when you go to particular areas and there does seem to be like a difference. I remember coming to your guys' shop the first time and I met Josh and was kind of like suspect of what I was getting into because I heard these like, you know, pastors opened up, you know, a cigar shop and I was like, I gotta go to see this, you know, and I was like the name, like the Abbey, and I was like, all right, and I get there and we ended up hanging out that first night and with Glenn Seegers, and man, I had such a blast with you. And I knew, I was like, oh, these guys are going to be like just friends, you know, like we'll do business together. But I knew that there was, because when you talk about cigars, we keep hammering back on every episode into the sense of community, right? And some people you click with. I get very excited when I get to go to your guys' shop because like Nate and me and Josh, we get to talk music because our backgrounds are so similar in that regard. We get to geek out and like Jonathan last time was probably like, what the fuck are these guys talking about as we're listing band names and like.
Can I give a little background real fast to all the listeners out there that, so when Jeremy comes to Nashville,
Oh boy.
we usually block off a whole night
Or a
and
weekend.
So there's weekend, but so there's a little dive bar down the road, like literally walking distance from our shop called Dino's, and they serve a great burger.
Cash only.
Get some beer and whiskey and whatever. Cash only. It's a great vibe. So it's normally shut down the shop at midnight, go out, have burgers and beers, and then walk back to the shop and then just drinking whiskey. And then you look at your phone and it's 4-5 a.m.
Yeah.
So that's normally when Jeremy comes to town too. And the whole time it's just talking music and life. And actually, I feel like we very little talk cigars.
And that's actually the beauty of it, because I think if I think about the most critical points, like pivot points in my life, as an adult, cigars have been present in all of them, but never the focus, you know, which like, because
it's kind of the point of the show,
been,
right? When we had the idea for the show, our idea was to invite people to hang out with us like we would hang out on a back patio.
Yeah. Or sitting in it. And that kind of reminds me of like, I'll give you a little quick story. When I was going through a divorce, I moved in with my best friend and his wife. I showed up at their doorstep. They let me in. And he wasn't an avid cigar smoker, but I was already working in the industry. So on the retail end of it, but we would sit there night after night and we would get drunk. I would throw up. We would smoke cigars. But I mean, you're just going through a lot of pain and things. And that was church for me, because this guy kept me grounded. He kept me from falling off the edge, because I was at a particular place where I needed someone to just kind of like hold on to me. It didn't have to be, I didn't need them to fix me. I just needed them to make sure I didn't fall off the edge. And that happened around cigars. And that's, you know, the whole aspect of community. And when I met these guys, like Josh and I behind the scenes, I've been getting, like, he's been recommending books and stuff for me to read. And
Is that all you guys did?
No,
behind the
we make
scenes?
out too. Manly make out. But I like because the last time we were at the shop, we did an event. It was January, right? Or late December, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Before COVID hit. It was my last trip before COVID hit. And our conversation went kind of deep, and it made me think about some things. And then when I got home a little while later, I hit him up and I was like, throw something at me, you know? And then now we've been having this, we have not actually gotten to talk about any of the things he has suggested to me, but I've very much enjoyed kind of going on a deeper level with this guy, and it's from cigars. You know,
the
like,
problem is that you read books like 2 to 3 times faster than me, so you're plowing through them faster than I can recommend them. You're a really quick read, bro.
Dude, they're good. That's why. And what I mean by good is, like, I like the fact that I don't necessarily, like, I have a very different frame of mind that I came from, as you know, and like I like being challenged on things, because, like, how else are you supposed to grow as a person or just as an individual if you're not willing to, like, look at the other side? You know, like, you can't cross a stream that has no bridge, right? So you have to be able to, like, maybe there's something there for me to look at and digest. And but all those things and all my relationships all are surrounded by cigars. And I think, you know, that is a spiritual thing in and of itself, because it's like we're partaking of something that was rolled by hands, that's from the ground, that's from the earth. We're enjoying it. Like, we're the fucking true vegans.
Fuck
Well,
yeah.
So
Right.
so can I say something answering Tony's first question too?
Oh, sorry.
About
Sorry.
all the, no,
Absolutely.
you're good. Because even like a little different perspective than just the community aspect. For me, spiritually, I'm really truly like a social introvert, and so I love people. Like a day at the shop, it's at the end of it, I just want to go and, like, sit. And I'm love going to the park and sitting by nature. And for me, the process of a whole cigar, that, like, I kind of preach the whole, like, actually slowing down and enjoying something. And so for me, that actually helps engage more in whatever that is for you on a spiritual level, whatever, like, you know, whether it's coming to peace with yourself, or, like, for me, you know, even communicating with God. It is a avenue to kind of allowing myself to actually slow down in that. Also, I don't know if y'all are reading these Facebook comments, but they're wild.
Oh, of course they're all. Dude, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah.
So they want a beard on beard makeout session, but my
Just
wife
Jennifer does.
just commented that ain't gonna happen. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Wow, your wife cares enough to watch?
I guess so.
That's really sweet. You guys are newlyweds.
You have a wife?
No,
I do.
but Anna, why not? I just like, it's some man love.
It's
You
a-
know, he's still
nice
coming
man
home
love.
to you. Don't you worry, honey.
I mean, it's 2020. It's virtual. It's a Zoom makeout. Okay, it doesn't really. It's not really that bad, right?
Tony, I feel like this should be like, you should take a group photo, and this should be like for La Barba, because you have such man going on in this, like, scenario. Like, this is your free promo video,
That's
Well,
right.
this is like everybody who doesn't use the straight razor.
right?
Well, you got to do the neck a little bit and the cheeks, right?
Listen, bro, I go to sleep at night still with my bandana on sometimes because I forget it's all up underneath that beard.
I didn't even know it was there.
I know. I just keep it on 24/7, you know, down here, keeping that
See,
COVID.
my favorite is when you go like this and look.
Uh-huh.
I've
So
never seen that. Thank you for sharing.
Can-
You're
I have
welcome.
well,
I have
can I-
one thing, Brandon, before you
oh,
go.
I
and
just
then
had I didn't want to lose it, so you say it, and then I had a thought. I just wanted to interject.
keep that, because my thought was to have and this is a surprise for Brandon, but I thought that for the end of the show we have him shoot his shot and then after that we have the shoot your shot. But because Brandon's a pastor and he's got a lot of questions for you guys, and he was very excited.
Well,
He was very
he's
excited to
not.
talk to you guys.
No, he's not a pastor anymore. That's the right.
Well,
That's
you might not get paid to
former-
be a pastor, but it doesn't mean that you're not a pastor.
That's why I think these guys are going to have a good little conversation. But the question I had before we get into that with the last 15 minutes of the show, or 25 minutes, I can't count.
Or 7.
So the four of us here together, we're kind of like.
I say we have a shot while you ask this.
I agree. I'll have a shot while I'm asking the question. It's going to be rough because I'm having trouble with my windpipe. But Brandon, you have a shot 4 thing, or we?
Shot number 4.
Cheers.
Shot number 4.
So, for Jeremy and I, and a lot of our friends that are in the industry, we're kind of like the, new guys, or the guys that, my dad is like, oh, you got tattoos, or you're growing this beard, or your hair's long, or whatever. Like, my dad has all these questions about the way that 2020 goes. And I was just wondering, like, for us, we're not new in the cigar industry, but we grew up loving cigars, and we're not the traditional thing, right? When Caldwell and La Barba came out, we were kind of like, everybody was like, who the hell are these, 30-something-year-old kids with tattoos? And we were talking about our Romanian guy earlier who said that Jeremy might look homeless, but he's truly a gem of a man. I think that
Don't
I
just
think
drop
that-
that. Give a little context to that. We got that.
I will. We'll go
Yeah.
after show with that, so we'll keep people around for that. But at the same time, like, that's kind of like what we've always been looked at, in the cigar world. And I think that we connected with you guys because we have sort of the same ethos. But what's curious to me is that, like, when we talked earlier about how cigars translated to having faith, like, I think a lot of people are searching for that kind of thing, but are scared because they have tattoos or beards, or they drink, or they smoke. I mean, I think all of those things are great things to kind of tie everybody together. So I don't know if you could shed some light on, like, how's it going with what you do church wise versus cigar wise, and how do the people that are watching kind of like tie it all together if they want to, or kind of like come to some sort of realization of, how they tie together, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been doing the pastor thing for years and years, and I started out really in the music industry. Did a lot of ministering to bands because bands are bad marriage without sex. So there's lots to connect with and counsel and help. So that's kind of where I got into it. But I would say that I've always been attracted more so to the people in that category on the fringe of society than mainstream church. I mean, the name of our church is Borderland Mission. So it's that in between place, like, not totally of the world. We're spiritual, but we're not totally of the church either. So we're found in this like no man's land, in this borderland space, which is actually where I prefer to live and to exist and to minister, if you want to use that word. I had an additional little comment about cigars and community. Is I actually think there's a lot of bullshit when it comes to cigar community, because when I first got into cigars and I went to shops and things, what I actually saw were really isolated people groups where you're only welcome if you are in the white cigar lounge, or the black cigar lounge, or the rich cigar lounge, or the Republican cigar lounge. And I never enjoyed hanging out in cigar lounges because the people that were there were just freaking racist and judgmental and whatever. It just didn't appeal to me. And that was actually my motivation to start Smokers Abbey, is I wanted to have a common ground, a common place where everyone, despite your race or your religion or your ability to purchase a cigar, can mix and mingle together, and where everyone is truly equal. So like, that's a big policy for who we are. The only people we don't welcome here are people that aren't welcoming. And so, and actually we tolerate some of that too, to an extent, but that's really our goal, is for that level of quality and connection.
It's a great equalizer. Both are, I think.
You know what I love?
Josh is like
yeah.
this guy. He's like hugging
It's like
people.
Santa.
He's like Santa or Leonardo DiCaprio, one of the two. I can't decide.
So there's two things I love. First of all, your church sounds like a Bruce Springsteen song, the name. And then the second thing I love is, I don't know if you remember this, but when Glenn and I showed up to the shop and you agreed, you were like, I don't like hanging out with reps. I don't like, you were like, kind of like, yeah. I'll give you my 5 minutes. And I don't think we talked cigars at all. I think we just like went off on a tangent, and we ended up hanging out for multiple hours and having a great time. But it was not because of like anything I did or like said or didn't say, but like we ended up connecting. But I think it's funny because it, like, yes, you can have an inviting environment, but there's definitely not the feeling when you go in there of like being sold. You know, like I've had conversations with guys in the shop there that very different walks of life and different perspectives, and guys that are very similar as well. And there's something to be said about that, you know, because that's what draws me to shops, is when I feel like, oh, okay, this is a place, like this is a Cheers, for lack of a better, you know, term, like where like people feel welcome in that store. And then, yes, you guys focus on kind of business-wise, you focus on more the boutique end of things, which is kind of cool because I think it kind of like goes with the ethos of like it being kind of a unique cigar shop with all your, you know, like art all over the walls and things like that. But like, you know, I met Josh first, but then like Nate and I met, and like my lady and I went out to Nashville. Yeah.
Well, so I will say, like the first time I met you at IPCPR, I feel like I was just like hoping to meet somebody in the industry who is also like into music and into cool shit. And there's a lot of cool people in our industry, but they're also like sometimes a little too preppy. So when I first met you, and I was like, oh my gosh, like here's a dude who's just like, you know, different level. And so that's
all right. You can say it. You can say dirty.
Dirty.
But I loved it. I love it.
Grimy.
I mean, I love.
He looks homeless,
I-
but with a gem of a man.
Sometimes cling a little too much to the punk rock thing, but I was like all about it.
Yeah, and
So
I
you were like,
I wanted to say, you know. Oh yeah, go ahead, Nate.
I was just saying, when Jeremy just is not interested in all the other BS sometimes with the cigar industry, of because sometimes, you know, it gets to be the celebrity show even within our own trade when, you know, other people don't know who these people are. And I just love the first time I met Jeremy, he was like, I'm gonna go and lay in my bed. Like that was it. I loved it.
Hey, Maisha.
Yeah, so like you were talking about, I don't like reps. I like reps because they're people, and I like people. But what I don't like, when your relationship between a rep, a buyer, and a seller, it already starts out disingenuous, because I'm looking for something that's a little bit more intimate. So you can come in and rep a product, but I want to know, who are you? Where do you live? What are you passionate about? What are you about? And so sometimes reps if they come in too much with the mindset of I've got to close the sale and leave, then I don't get the opportunity to know who they are. I mean, I have carried cigars that I'm not proud of, but I love the people who sold them. So it isn't just about tobacco, you know, it's also about that relationship. So anytime you're starting,
Thank you, Maisha. Sorry.
anytime you're starting in, and if you start disingenuous, it's hard to become genuine. And so, like, for me also, like, I don't give a rat's ass about the cigar celebrity thing. Like, I don't, and it could be because I spend a lot of time working around musicians and stuff, but I don't appreciate the ego in that. Like, I don't really care about it, you know? So
There shouldn't be one, in my opinion. There shouldn't.
well,
be
there
one.
shouldn't be, but you know that isn't true because it's part of the brand.
Right.
But if your brand is covering up who you are as a person, and you can't be genuine about who you are because you're so busy with your brand, I really am not going to invest a lot of time into that because your brand doesn't impress me. You know, your flaws impress me, your thoughts impress me, the things you're passionate about impress me. That's what I'm just more interested in. So that's more.
Well, in my opinion, Josh, I mean the same could be said about, you know, because I have a brick and mortar, and this episode's kind of about brick and mortar, but you know, brick and mortar stores, I think the same situation happens, right? Where, you know, it shouldn't be about Josh or Nate or Sean owning a cigar store. It should be about creating an experience for the people that come in, and everything else that comes later is whatever.
Yeah.
But you create the experience for, you know, for our stuff or for your brands or all of that. I think is all about creating an experience for somebody somewhere. And I think that's paramount to being in this business. So I completely agree with you. I would like for a second.
Hey, we have. I just want to cut you off if we can, real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of we didn't really dive into unless it happened while I was like, you know, trying to fix my dumb computer. But because I think it's important to kind of speak when we're talking about brick and mortars and the vision that Josh had and how it is translated into a bigger thing, probably unbeknownst to him or unplanned originally. But you have had people that instead of just starting their own shop, doing it their own way and doing their own thing, they have like fallen in line vision wise, I think, with Josh. And I think that's super cool. And Ian's in the waiting room who does the Austin store. And I think it would be rad to have him on for a second.
Yes,
Yeah, let's bring him on.
Like to just talk.
What's up, guys?
Ian and
Hey,
Rebecca.
girl.
Hello.
Hi guys.
Hi, Becca. How are you? Hey, Ian.
Hey,
Miss
how
you.
you doing?
Miss you guys. Hope everything's well.
Well, it's been a weird week, but it's been good.
We're gonna make it.
Well, we wanted you guys on it, and I'm glad. Thank you, Nate, for doing that, like on the fly, because like I think it's so cool to talk about. So many people over the past like 2 weeks have been emailing us directly or DMing us saying like, "Oh, I want to open a shop. What should I do? Like, do you think it's worth it?" And I'm like, dude, if you have a good idea and you want to do it, yeah. And you guys like have done it. And, oh, there's your man. Hey, guy.
Boy, look at that little blondie. Hi, buddy.
So, can I tell you, it's funny you say that, Jeremy, about people emailing you. It's funny because every time Josh, I believe he said it to Ian and Rebecca, and he said it to the crew who's going to be doing Memphis. He more tries to talk them out of it, to talk them out of doing cigars. And then by the end of the conversation, usually they're more stoked than ever. And so it's like, okay, they're doing it. And, you know, the other ones who are not as stoked, it's like, all right, it's not going to work out, you know?
Yeah. And hey, while you guys are on, I want to say that Rebecca sitting there is the most badass female in this industry.
Agreed.
And
I
she's
say
just
we do
hard.
a shot to that.
Yes.
Let's do a shot for Becca. Because
Yeah.
I 100% agree, as I just spilt Sambuca all over me because it was already filled.
Brandon, recycle shot one, I think. Or two. One of the
Shot number 2.
Wow, that is a lot.
You're welcome.
I wanted to say that because, like, I have an affinity for strong women who get shit done. And she borderline harasses me to get stuff done, but she has vision and she gets stuff done. So, maybe one day she's going to be in charge of the whole Smokers Abbey empire. Like, I think because she would be a boss I could take orders from. But I'd be scared not to, right, Rebecca?
Unless you just love text messages.
Lots of text messages.
I
Love
agree.
lots of text messages. Sometimes passive aggressive text messages.
Noted.
I was so pumped for this. I was really pumped that you guys wanted to do this show with us tonight. Like, Jeremy and I were talking. We got to have like our people on, and you guys are our people. All of you
It's
guys.
funny because I started actually listening to the podcast for the first time this weekend. I
I'm
listened
sorry.
to the Nick. Yeah. Well, I listened to the Nick one first, and I listened to the Charlie one, and I was like, just listening to the dialogue, and I'm like, that's why I texted Jeremy because I was just like, dude, like, if you ever need somebody, we would totally fit into this dialogue really well.
It's been seamless, man. I mean, this has been such a great show, and I know I do really want to, because I know Brandon is itching. So before we end, like, I want to bring Brandon on to ask you all questions, because I think he's very intrigued by Smokers Abbey, and he's upset that he's in northeastern Ohio and can't really get down to Nashville, Austin, or Memphis anytime soon. So Brandon, come on.
Yeah, and I think he has a question for Ian and Becca specifically. So, but you ask it, my friend. Go for it.
I send Jeremy and Tony secret text messages when I want them to do something. I'm like,
they're nudes.
Do this thing. So the question for Ian and Rebecca is, why take on the Smokers Abbey franchise? Like, instead of doing something else, what about what Josh and Nate and the Smokers Abbey intrigued you enough that we want to do that vision or that style? What was it like? What was the key thing or the key things?
Well, it should be known that even though that Josh didn't know me very well, I knew Josh a long time before we ever started thinking about doing Smokers Abbey.
We stalked you, Josh.
Yeah, we stalked you. I actually had smoked cigars with Josh at a music festival many years prior, and had kind of always remembered that. And we had some friends that were in touring bands, touring musical acts.
Random enough.
Yeah.
It's the same people that Josh said bye to.
Yeah.
Now, who were just in our.
Yeah.
Oh, is that true? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they told me, they were like, hey, did you hear that Josh started a cigar shop? And I was like, no, but that totally makes sense. Fast forward to a couple of years later, and I was coming to the end of some careers that I really loved, and I wanted to get into this cigar thing because I really loved it. And I'm a wisdom seeker. I like to ask people a lot of questions that have already gone forth and done it. And Josh was one of my first phone calls, and that's a very long-winded way of saying that basically what happened was I just called him to get advice, and we started talking about philosophy and atmosphere and just kind of more existential stuff when it comes to running a place like this. And we kept just lining up. It kept just being one of those things oh, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. And kind of at the end of the conversation, Josh was like, well, so we've got this thing, and it's kind of like a franchise. I don't know if y'all would be interested, but I could tell you that you could learn a lot from us because we've made every mistake you could possibly make running a cigar shop.
That's good leadership. Any leader who's I've made a lot of mistakes and you can learn from mine, that's a good leader. That's somebody you could get behind.
Well, he was right. Anyway, but yeah, so we looked at the deal and we were just like, man, it's good to be backed up by people that you trust and that you admire. And so that's kind of why we took on the Smokers Abbey thing. And plus, I was a youth pastor prior to this, so I mean, there were a lot of similarities of
the connection. Yeah,
a lot of connection and
It's
stuff.
also
like that.
worthy to note that Sean Payne in Memphis is currently a pastor as well.
Right, I knew that. Where's he at, by the way?
Yeah.
He's probably building his shop right now.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of stuff going on.
Or with his 7 children.
Yeah.
But we have like a minute or so left of people that are like really engaged in the show. So I wanted to like let them know where to find you guys. We have an after show coming, but just real quick for everybody, like where can everybody find you guys? We'll start with on my right is Josh. Like how do we get cigars from you guys? Like how do we visit you guys? How do we get in contact with you guys? There's a lot of good stuff going on.
Everything.
Yeah, just pitch it all, and then we're gonna ask some more questions. But while we have our last minute or so, why don't you guys pitch yourselves, please?
Well, I mean, smokersabbey.com. There's a page there that you can find us and Austin. Of course, we're on Facebook. Just look up Smokers Abbey. Church stuff is borderlandmission.com. Borderland Mission, and also since this is going to be a podcast, I have a podcast called Catacomb that you're welcome to check out. We discuss things in churches that piss us off and try to come up with solutions. Turning cynicism to solution is our little tagline for that.
Nice.
But yeah.
Nate, do you have anything you want to pitch?
Well, yeah, and just to say, and Ian and Rebecca might say this, but actually, Ian and Rebecca have kind of led the team on having a badass online store built. And so coming soon, hopefully, we'll have basically a virtual humidor for all the shops.
Awesome.
And we'll do a big launch of that on our social media. Instagram is another big place that we do, but at the same time, so we'll post about that. But eventually soon, you'll actually have an online platform to buy from Smokers Abbey Austin, from Smokers Abbey Nashville, and Smokers Abbey Memphis. So there'll actually be an online platform where you can actually do that and actually buy from each independent shop, and even if you're local, the way you with COVID times and stuff. So,
Ian and Rebecca, you have anything?
All those things. Plus, on Facebook, we started a little Facebook group called Down at the Abbey, and it's kind of grown a lot. And it's been a really fun place for everybody to get to know each other and discuss stuff and, really kind of understand everybody's vision for what's going on in these shops and stuff like that, and kind of just engage on a little bit more personal level. But yeah, Down at the Abbey, I mean, all the things that they said, because we're all kind of on the same website-ish, and it's going to be even more like cool looking pretty soon. But yeah, on top of that, Down at the Abbey, you have to ask to join, but it's because of the 21 and up law.
Right.
But yeah, we'll let you join. You can get in there and talk about things.
We're Smokers Abbey Austin on all social media.
Yep.
Well, we love you guys more than anything. You guys are our, like Jeremy and I were talking about, like our favorite people and like who we're gonna have and all that stuff, and you guys are it. So
made the top 10, made the 10th episode.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We're gonna do an after show thing. Brandon, I'm sure has a lot of questions.
Yeah, I don't want to actually
somewhere.
Yeah, I don't want to
there.
actually end the recording because I want to be able. So like we can call this we've concluded the main body of the show, but because I want to push these the last little bit of this, we won't actually hit end record for the moment if that's cool, because I want to like capture.
And can I venture to say something as well? No,
Nathan,
I just
go
wanted
ahead.
to say to you guys that like, and for anyone watching, there's I've been to many cigar lounges, and I come to every single one of them uninvited and unannounced. That's my style. I don't like making appointments.
That's
like
us,
right?
Because
You're like the Holy
thing,
Ghost.
right? That's our thing.
I'm the guy.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Did I call Ian and Becca when I showed up? Nope. I just showed up. The only reason I hit up Nate is and Josh is because I was on vacation the time before and we wanted to hang. And I went to East
and we
Nashville
had
to
a bar.
vacation. Yeah. But what I will say is that, there are a lot of great retailers out there and we've established a lot of great business relationships. But every so often you meet real friends that are for life, and I respect you guys, what you do. From the moment you guys, when I heard about your shop and I was like, Smokers Abbey, the guys are pastors. And I was like, I figured you guys were straight reformed, but that's a whole nother conversation just based on like, you know what I mean? Like historically speaking. But
Nashville's not reformed, but Memphis is.
Right. But
yeah.
But all that to be said, like, I love you guys. You're close personal friends. And like, I'm glad that we do business together. But if we didn't, I would still be hanging out at your shop when I came in because like, these are people that I just identify with as, friends, and we can understand each other. Nate, especially, like, he's just a great friend, and Josh and Ian, and I keep on developing more so with you and Rebecca. But I mean, like, I love you guys, and I thank you for being guests.
And shout out to Sean Payne, Smokers Abbey's Memphis. He's opening up. Like, when is the opening date for Sean?
I don't.
In the next month.
Yeah,
he's killing it. This guy's working his ass off. Man.
Yeah,
the store's gonna be great.
Yeah,
follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, there's Smokers Abbey Memphis on Instagram and Facebook.
That's awesome.
So.
Something that comes back to me, Nate, that you said a lot earlier in the show, and I've been like keeping this pin drilled in my head because it was like 30 minutes ago. But you said that when you would hang out with Jeremy and you guys would go out and you'd go to the bar and then you come back to the shop, you would almost not talk about cigars at all.
Yeah.
And one of the things that struck me about that is that, in a sense, I grew up in the church where I said earlier, my great grandfather was a pastor, and I come from this line of pastors. My dad and even myself, I pastored a church in Kent, Ohio, many years ago. And I went to seminary school and I did all that stuff. It is that the people that talk nonstop about their faith and their perspectives on faith, their theology, the people that's all, it's like you can't have a conversation about Batman with them. You can't talk about like, oh, I saw the new Batman movie. You see that trailer? That looked awesome, because they can't get out of that being the thing. That becomes the thing you want to avoid the most, even though it's like, I'm really glad that your life is consumed with that. It's same with cigar smokers. Like if I go into Havana House, Tony's shop, and there are guys in there like, I just want to be your friend. I just want to like, let's sit and talk about the calves or whatever. But like all they want to talk about is like, oh, what are you smoking? Oh, that's Habano this and that's Nicaraguan that. And it's like, it's interesting how something can go from being like the fun thing you do or the thing that's engaging in your life to then if it becomes obsessive, it actually destroys what's enjoyable about it. And I thought that was an interesting dynamic. You're talking about what made Jeremy, you don't like hanging out with reps. And I felt like there was this interesting overlap between the way that kind of the kinds of people you run into express their faith that way. The same, you don't really want to hang around those people because it'll drive you bonkers. And how Jeremy, your experience with him was different.
Well, and like for myself, like I'm a total cigar nerd too, and so like I mean, Josh has made the joke before that like I'm the guy who can tell you the dumb fact about what the guy ate for breakfast on the day that he blended so-and-so. Like, I do really give a shit about tobacco and cigars. But the thing, for me and myself, I feel like cigars are a part of who I am. And yes, they pay the bills and allow me to eat and live my life. But at the same time, I view that way with a lot of things, music and art and all the stuff. And I will say to you, Brandon, after listening to a couple podcasts, I feel like you and I would really hang out well and have a cigar well together because
man crush.
Man crush. No, but because even with certain guests, I feel like you bring it to the.
Oh, look, your wife agrees. Your wife agrees with that.
My wife.
No, that was an earlier comment. I just brought that back because it fit.
But no, I feel like you bring it back around to a deeper level of thinking. That I feel like sometimes in the cigar industry too, you run into just a lot of people who don't think about beauty and art and emotion and stuff like that, you know, when they're smoking a cigar. And for me, honestly, there's been cigars that have brought me to tears because of an emotional experience that I've had. And like, even I was listening to the interview you guys did with Charlie and him talking about a memory of like he's writing a review. And like, for me, there's a lot of times that, like a moment in cigars like that. And so cigars are a big part of who I am. I mean, I will smoke a cigar like all the time, but for me, it's just a piece of the puzzle, you know? And so I love when I like hang out with Jeremy, like said, like there's another level we can connect on, and like loving music where the guitars are overly distorted and it's a little grungy and whatever. I don't know. For me, it's like when I have something in common with somebody that I can connect on multiple levels of like, oh, okay, you see the depth of life and you also love smoking cigars and you love, I don't know. So yeah, like I totally, you know, I think we all have to know that there's all that stuff in us, you know.
Steve, I think the Steve Callow from Seattle, I think the man crush button should be
Man crush alert.
Man crush. Man crush Mondays.
I have a question for Josh because I loved your story about this was right when Jeremy froze earlier and he had to leave and come back. You talked about your first cigar and then you went up and you preached this amazing sermon. And it's just interesting to hear people who have such a similar, you know, background to me. But what I wanted to ask you is how, and maybe you don't want to name names, of course, but like how has the like community of faith that you shepherd, like, do they reflect on, is it like the elephant in the room that our pastor also has this thing, and I'm asking out of a genuine sincerity, like or is it a thing that they kind of know and accept about you as just another aspect of your life? Like, a lot of pastors are bivocational. My dad has been bivocational for most of his career. So
can you explain that? We don't know what that general people don't know what that means.
In the pastoral world, you have full-time pastors who just pastor churches, and they have a big enough congregation that they can provide the financial stability to do that. But many pastors, and more so now than any time really probably in American history of churching, pastors have to be bivocational. They don't make enough money. They don't have a large enough congregation to support them financially, so they have to have another job. That's a bivocational.
Well, there's a couple questions there. One of the reasons why, well, initially I opened the shop thinking that would be, again, a great equal place for connection in the community. And then very quickly I realized that I had to deal with it also as a business, as an entrepreneur, which, you know, we struggled for years and years to stay upright. I mean, it was very hard initially to launch this thing. But the positive thing is that for me, I make my income off of tobacco because you don't want your relationship with your church to be about money. And I would say you don't want your relationship with your customers to be about money either. You know, I have to treat each customer, whether they're buying a $2.99 factory stick, you know, or a $30 stick, you know, I have to treat them as equal. And the same way with people in your community, in your faith community, you treat them as equal. Either they're broke or they actually contribute to the extent to help pay the electric bill, you know. So there is a tension in both communities to treat people as equals, and that pays off. As far as like a tension on a spiritual side, I wouldn't say there is one. I mean, there's people that have hung out in our community for a long time, and then one day they go, "Oh, so and so told me that you're a pastor." It's like, or if
I get-
people get
I get
offended
that.
to say,
I get that response too. Sometimes
Yeah.
people find out at a Havana house.
right, or they get offended. I've had customers that I've been friends with. They go, "How come you never invite me to church?" And I'm like,
You're
well,
at it, dude. You're at it. You're standing in my right here.
standing
You're at. What do
You're
I
gonna
need
tell
to?
me we really have 2 congregations, but my I'm not trying to convert my church folk to giving me money to buy cigars. I'm not trying to convert my customers into coming to church and tithing either. But it does. So it does blend. It blends in a very healthy kind of way. I've done a lot of weddings, for example, from customers. I've officiated a lot of weddings for people who buy cigars, and so that's kind of been a fun thing to do. And
I've done 4 Havana House weddings myself.
Yeah, there you go.
So
I'm in charge of sound, not.
yeah, Tony brings the tunes. Jeremy,
I'm in charge of the party.
Yeah, he is.
Jeremy's
I wish
in
Jeremy
charge
could have
of
been at my
community.
wedding. Jeremy would have poo-pooed at the wedding. He'd have joined in on that. He'd have been like that drawing from your daughter in the pre-show. Jeremy, I want to bring you into this conversation.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm curious. I have a lot of questions for Jeremy too, so I'm gonna let you go with them.
Let me ask this, and then Tony.
Yeah.
And then Tony. But this has been on my mind because, Josh, I don't know how you grew up, but like growing up in a pastor's home and everything, there was that really cheesy saying that we were raised on, that I don't drink or smoke or chew, and I don't go with people who do.
That was right.
Yeah, that was like the famous saying, like, and I was like, it was like ingrained in my brain that like drinking, smoking, it is like the epitome of like a sinful. My parents, my family,
Yeah, because
still
Jesus
look
never
at
hung out with those dudes.
Right. It's Jeremy. If you get into the logic, if you get into the theological argument, it's so bogus. But Jeremy, what I wanted to bring you into this for is like, you share my background of like our families still reject this and see it this way. How do you feel as just a part of your own family and coming from that background, knowing that there are people like Josh who see things like, do you feel that conflict? Like, how does it make you feel personally, like seeing that there is this whole other side, a whole other coin?
I mean, sometimes it's hard if you're just going to get honest, because like every kid wants his parents to be proud of him. And so there's an element that like there's a disappointment that they can't see beyond, the glasses, the lenses that they look through. Like the worldview is so narrow that it makes it hard for them to see like, hey, isn't the point like I have 2 children and they have a roof over their head and I don't do things that are immoral for work. I mean, I make shitty choices all the time. Like, don't get me wrong, but not because it's just because that's part of my nature. And the thing is like, of course you want your parents' acceptance and like, that's going on a whole nother thing. But it's taken me a while to get to the point where I'm comfortable in my own skin, meaning like, not that I'm proud of all that I do, but I can accept who I am. And like, I don't look at tobacco or drinking or go down the list of X, Y, and Z as things that define like who I am, and I find it very comforting when I meet friends like, Josh and Nate and Ian and Rebecca and stuff that I can call personal friends, but it also gives me a little bit of like, I'm in a different place than they are. And I don't know all their like, spiritual journey. I'm at a different place than they are. And like, I think that's okay, and I like talking to Josh about things. And I like talking, I mean, hell, I was sitting with Nate at the bar when he was like, I'm going to marry this girl. And like, he told me that he was going to do it. And I got to be like, and it felt so cool when I saw that he announced it on like social media, because like I got to be present to that conversation where he was like, I'm going to make this girl mine, and like, that's not like a casual happenstance. That's someone that I get to like be a part of and enjoy that experience of them getting engaged, because like he shared something intimate with me. And that's what I love about like the spiritual journey, right? Like cigars, whatever walk of life, whatever job you have, it's about going through life with people. I mean, you could list a shit ton of like, you know, examples, even scripturally, that back that up about the concept of walking through life and holding people up when they're too weak to stand, and vice versa, and doing the same. And that's why I will always hammer on the aspect of community, because I feel like it has such importance well beyond the cigar. It's just that this gives us the platform. This introduced us all, and now we walk through life together. And like
That's
that,
awesome.
no one can take. And like that to me. And so honestly, I'm more bummed for my parents that they can't see that. You know what I mean? Like, because like the relationships I have are real. They're not based upon, we believe in Jesus and like we go to church on Sunday morning together. The church never existed inside of four walls, and it never will exist inside of four walls.
Oh man, Jeremy's starting to preach now. You're starting to really.
There you
preach.
go, boy. There you go.
No, but I mean,
No,
seriously,
I'm cheering
let's
you
get
on,
real.
brother. I'm cheering you on.
And like, so anyone who wants to like go down that road, and I by no means claim like I have life figured out, but I do know that, and I know that from personal experiences, my failures, my victories, and everything that life has encompassed. The conversations, this show exists because Tony and I, when we're on the road together, or when I'm just staying at his house, stay up till 5 a.m. talking about life. That is, and it goes back to what Josh said in the very first statement that made Tony feel good. You are a spiritual person. I am a spiritual person. We are all spiritual people. We're just at different places in our journey to where that's going to lead us, you know, and or what we're going to call it and name it. You know what I mean? Like, but this is the point right here in this podcast of like what this should be about. We're doing a YouTube video and Facebook Live where we swear and we take shots and get drunk, yet we're talking about Jesus. Or name it, Allah, whatever you want to like. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, my
like,
mom says, weird enough, my mother is very like static, right? And she always says, everybody's got a guy. Everybody's got a guy. Like we'll talk about like at the bonfire,
Everybody's got a guy.
Like everybody has this problem and everybody's got that problem. And my mom ultimately is like, you know what? Everybody's got a guy. Leave him the fuck alone. And I think that's very like mind blowing because it's like everybody does.
Got a guy.
You know, everybody has got a guy. Because my dad's, and it comes back to like, you guys know as retailers, like everybody's got a guy. Like you could have. Like if you own a retail store, you could probably find a guy to like release doves at your wedding, right? Because you own a cigar store, so you have a guy that can do whatever. So my mom was like, weirdly enough, being spiritual, and she's like, you know what? Like fuck all this war, fuck all this shit. Everybody's got a guy. Leave him alone. And I think that was very like. Kind of profound, you know, because everybody's got a guy, everybody's got something to believe in, you know, and I think that's kind of a good lesson. Like if you believe in what you want to believe in it, and everybody else has something else that they have to believe in, but kind of leave them alone, or let them believe in what they want to believe in.
You know, I was going to say this real quick. First of all, James asked a question. Did I intend on having multiple shops originally? No. I didn't think this was going to even last as long as it did. So I'm a lucky fool. But I think through building community, I found people that we can connect, have kindred heart. And so everybody, it's so weird that everybody that's connected with us, there's a kindred passion. And so, no, it just happened. It wasn't intentional. But when you see an opportunity, you need to seize it. You know, I was also going to say to you, Jeremy, that one of the great stories when I finally understood what it meant was the story of Zacchaeus. You know, ever since we're little kids, we knew that Zacchaeus was a wee little man like he. I don't know if you remember that song. Was your church cool enough to have that
Yeah,
song?
they were singing about Tony.
They were talking about the wee little man.
What?
But you know, you take Zacchaeus, and there's two like key features. You know, first, he's small in stature, so he was an outcast in his community. He was a rejected person by society. And secondly, he's a tax collector, so he's there you go, rock it out. He's a tax collector, so he's considered a traitor to his nation. He's a pimp and a whore for the Roman Empire, and the Jews hated him. And so he was the most outcast of outcasts. And Jesus rolled up in a massive crowd, and he spotted the outcast. He spotted the guy that didn't fit, and they had a meal together.
Yeah.
And when you understand all the context to that little story, you understand how incredibly profound it was. I mean, I believe that Christ has got a guy, and his guy in that moment was Zacchaeus, you know, and he chose the outcast. And so, anyways, I could give you 15 other examples like that as to justify why I hang out with the hooligans of life like Jeremy.
I hope that your
I say we do a
sermon,
shot to that.
We'll do a shot. All right.
Yeah, because like if we're gonna close this out, like I think that's a great point in which to like celebrate. Because I agree. Hey, like let's
shot number 3.
It's like shot number 9.
Yeah, we're way beyond that, but I just keep recycling them till I make more.
I'm done. Not shooting shots.
All right. But I think that's a great point, Josh, to wrap this episode up on. Man, this has been a phenomenal conversation, a phenomenal talk. I'd love Nate, Josh, Ian to have a call with you guys. I can't wait till I can come and visit one of your stores when we have the ability to do something like that in the future. Maybe when we have that, we can come down and do a show in person. We can record an interview or a hangout. Do something like in person live. But man, I think this has been great, and I hope everybody's enjoyed the show. For the last people on, and Josh, if you do a Zacchaeus message this weekend, I think you got to call it "Everybody's Got a Guy," because I like your. And Jesus' guy was Zacchaeus, but you got to credit Kim Bellato for her wonderful catchphrase.
Everybody's got a guy.
Everybody's got a guy. For the last people who are still with us, you can email the show at 4shotshow@gmail.com. Send us your questions. Shout out to our Romanian listener who we shouted out last week, and then sent us an email. We were going to read some of his email we didn't get to it, but
I can read that email.
I mean, he called Jeremy. I want to wrap a homeless looking man, but he's a gem of a man, is what he said.
And that guy, if I go to Romania, he and I are kicking it.
Maybe you should do your
in
next
the street
when you do your sales. You guys do your big international sales gathering for Caldwell, or you should like go to Romania now just to meet this guy, just to do it on the company's dime.
We'll drink some ouzo, and yeah, man, that was actually such a compliment that guy said, because I do look homeless. I mean, like I had this girl ask me at what point I gave up on life years ago. And I thought it was so funny because I was like, when did I stop caring? And like, but it was such a freeing thing to realize, like, you know, like when people are like, oh, what's like, you know, your style, you're this or that, you're that. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's like when you get to the point when you give no fucks anymore and you're just like, yeah, this is what I do. This is just who I am. And that's, I think, why we're all friends here, is because each one of us have gotten to that point where it's like we're comfortable in our own skin. We're going to put off who we are and not try to put off something that we're not. And I think that's even why people are responding to this show, is because we're both manufacturers, but we're not here to promote our brands. We're not here to discuss wrapper binder filler. We're here to like understand like the heartbeat of this industry. And we've had Maisha, who was on earlier, and she commented, like, head of the SOTL, like what she's done.
Yeah, she wished me happy
females.
birthday, which none of you guys have.
I did. I talked to you on your birthday.
In the pre-show, and Nate came on. What? I feel like God, Tony.
And then, you know, like we've interviewed people who do ratings, like Half Wheel, online sellers, like small batch, manufacturers, but like, and now we're going to retailers, and we'll continue this like once a month, having conversations with retailers, because that is the pulse of our industry, you know, like it from the bottom to the top. We want to cover every aspect of it. It's not about let's get cigar celebrities on here. It's let's talk real shit. Let's talk about what makes a shop work. What struggles have they gone through? What struggles have we encountered as manufacturers? Like Brandon, you're such a great producer because you're a friend, but you're the consumer. You know what I mean? Like, and so you speak for an entirely different side as well. And that's what I love about this whole thing is it's like, let's just talk about it, you know, and those who want to listen, cool. If you don't, then you don't.
Then you don't. Well,
you're never going to hear this anyways.
Right. You're never going to hear it. But if anybody is hearing it and you missed some of the show, you can always watch the whole thing on Facebook or our YouTube page. Or you can go and subscribe on any podcast platform to 4 Shots with Tony and Jeremy. And you can get all of our past episodes. You can listen to this whole episode, subscribe to future ones. They always drop the day after. And if you want to help us out, you can hit a review. We have 2 reviews so far. They're both 5-star. One of them is from me.
One of them is also from me.
One is a review. One of them is from Tony, so our only reviews are from us. But if you go onto the Apple iTunes podcast store, you find us, subscribe, and then write us a review. We can start climbing the fucking charts, baby. Thank you guys. Thanks to all of our guests, everybody who came on. Here's Zach. We'll just bring him on for a second because we love him. Ian, Rebecca.
We need. Is Will Marco around? Is who's around?
We're gonna.
We did.
I don't know. We'll bring him on, but we're gonna end the show. Thank you everybody for listening. We'll be back next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Good night, everybody.